If you were to ask how the world came into existence, into being, the Buddha would say it in very simple terms. This is because that is. This is not because that is not. Because the sunshine is, the sheet of paper is. Because the tree is, the sheet of paper is. You cannot be yourself alone. You have to interbe with everything else in the cosmos. That is the nature of interbeing. I don't think that the word interbe is in the dictionary, but I believe that it will be there soon because it helps us to see the real nature of things, the nature of interbeing. If you are locked into the idea of a separate self, you have great fear, but if you look deeply and are capable of seeing you everywhere, you lose that fear. As a monk, I practice looking deeply every day. I don't just give lectures. I can see me and my students, I can see my ancestors, I can see my continuation everywhere. In this moment, every day, I make the effort to transmit to my students the best received from my teachers from my practice. I don't believe that I will cease to be someday. I told my friends that the 21st century is a hill, a beautiful hill, that we will climb together as a Shanghai community. I will be with my Shanghai all the way. For me, that is not a problem, because I see everyone in me in everyone. That is the practice of looking deeply, the practice of concentration on emptiness, the practice of interbeing. Next is the story of Anathapindika. Anathapindika, who lived 2,600 years ago, was an early follower of the Buddha. Anathapindika was a businessman who was very generous, and he used his time and energy to help destitute people of his city. He gave away a lot of his wealth to the poor, yet he did not become less wealthy. He received a lot of happiness. He had a lot of friends in his business circles, and he was loved by all of them. Anathapindika took great pleasure in serving the Buddha. He used his wealth to buy a forest park and build a practice center called the Jeta Grove, where the Buddha and his monks could practice. The Jeta Grove became a famous practice center, and people came there to listen to the talk given by the Buddha every week. One day, the Buddha learned that his beloved disciple Anathapindika was very sick. He went to visit him and urged Anathapindika to practice mindful breathing while in bed. Then the Buddha asked Sariputra, a close friend of Anathapindika, to take care of him during his illness. Sariputra and his younger monastic brother Ananda went to visit Anathapindika. When they arrived, Anathapindika was so weak he could not sit up in bed to greet them. Sariputra said, "No, my friend, don't try, just lie quietly. We will bring a few chairs to be close to you and sit together." The first question Sariputra asked was, "Dear friend Anathapindika, how do you feel? Is the pain in your body growing worse, or has it begun to lessen?" He said, "No, friends, the pain in me is not lessening, it is getting worse all the time." When Sariputra heard that, he decided to offer him a few exercises in guided meditation. As one of the most intelligent of the Buddha's disciples, Sariputra knew very well that helping Anathapindika focus his mind on the Buddha, whom he loved to serve, would give him a lot of pleasure. Sariputra wanted to water the seeds of happiness inside him, and he knew what he was talking about, all things that made Anathapindika happy in his life. Would water those good deeds in him and lessen his pain in the critical time. Sariputra invited Anathapindika to breathe in and out mindfully, focusing his attention on happiness and recollections, his work for the poor, his many acts of generosity and love and compassion he shared with his family and his fellow students of the Buddha. In just 5 or 6 minutes, the pain that Anathapindika had been feeling throughout his body lessened, and the seeds of happiness in him were watered, and he smiled. Watering the seeds of happiness is a very important practice for those who are sick or dying. All of us having seeds of happiness inside of us in those difficult moments when we're sick or dying, there should be a friend sitting with us to help us touch those seeds, which there always is. Otherwise, seeds of fear, regret, and despair can easily sprout into formations that overwhelm. When Anathapindika was able to smile, Sariputra knew that the meditation had been successful. Sariputra invited Anathapindika to continue the guided meditation. "Dear friend Anathapindika, now it is time to practice the meditation on the 6 senses. Breathe in and out and practice with me. These eyes are not me. I am not caught in these eyes. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundaries. The decaying of this body does not mean the end of me. I am not limited to this body. When someone is about to die, he may be very caught up in the idea that his body is him. He is caught in the notion of different aversions. Each of us is life without limit. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without limit. These eyes are not me. I am not caught in these eyes. These ears are not me. I am not caught in these ears. This nose, this tongue, this body is not me. I am not caught in this body. This mind is not me. I am not caught in this mind. They led Anathapindika to meditate also on the objects of the six senses. The dying person may be attached to forms, sounds, body and mind, and so on. Consider these things to be self, because he is losing these. He believed he is losing self. These meditations are very comforting for all ill or dying person. These things I see are not me. I am not caught in what I see. These sounds are not me. I am not caught in these sounds. Smells are not me, and I am not caught in these smells. Taste, contacts, thoughts are not me, and I am not caught in these. The past is not me. I am not limited by the past. The present is not me. I am not limited by the present, nor the future am I limited by the future. Finally, they came to the meditation on being and non-being, coming and going. These are very deep teachings, Sariputra said. Dear friend Anathapindika, everything that is arising becomes causes and conditions. Everything that has the nature nor to be born and not to die, not to arrive and not to depart. When the body arises, it arises. It does not come from anywhere. If conditions are sufficient, the body manifests, and you perceive it existing. When the body are no longer conditions are no longer sufficient, the body is perceived by you, and you may think it as not existing. In fact, the nature of everything is no birth and no death. The teaching of the Buddha relieves us of suffering. The vast of suffering means ignorance about the true nature of self and of the world around you. When you don't understand, you are afraid. Your fear brings you much suffering. This is why the offering of non-fear is the best kind of gift you can give to yourself and to anyone else. This important practice, the practice of non-fear, involves looking deeply to relieve the deep fear that is always there. If you have non-fear, your life will be happier and more beautiful, and you will be able to help many others. Just as Sariputra helped Anathapindika, the energy of non-fear is the key. And the best basis for social actions of compassion to protect people, the earth, and satisfy your need for love and to serve. It is entirely possible to live happily and die peacefully. We do this by seeing that we continue our manifestation in other forms. It is also possible for us to help others die peacefully. That is why the reality that we are manifestation and continuation of manifestation should be revealed to the dying person. We are then affected by the fear of birth and death because we understand that they are just notions. This insight can liberate us from fear. If we know how to practice and penetrate the reality of no birth, no death, if we realize that coming and going are just ideas and our presence is solid and peaceful, we help the dying person not to be scared, not to suffer much. We help the person die peacefully. We cannot help ourselves live without fear and die peacefully with understanding there is no dying, only continuation. There is the last moments of his life. Anathapindika received the greatest gift of all, non-fearing, and he died beautifully, peacefully, without fear, pain. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Practice this in the present and the future at any moment. So hope you guys enjoyed. We will do a short sound and breath meditation. रोग काटे सुख सवीजे तन मन शांत